Hi, this is the next Can you give me 5 minutes video, which is probably going to be a bit longer because there's quite a few things to update. Conscious I've not done a video for a while. That said, I have been doing sessions, making this a great place to work, sort of phase 2 of those sessions, and I've met a fair few people now. I know I've got quite a few to go, so if you've not had one yet, there is one coming. And I'll try and pick up on some of the points and questions that have been raised through those sessions. And just to make things clearer for people, I think communication is really key, and it's important that people are clear what's going on and why it's going on. Hopefully, it will dispel some myths and some narrative which is going around the service as well. In that vein, underneath this link, there is a written communication, which is an update about what's going on with the CTO function and, in particular, the Essential Services Programme. So there's a big explanation there in terms of new roles being appointed to and all of that. And in that vein, I mean, it's emphasised. It's emphasised in that note that some of those roles, a lot of those roles, are paid for externally of the service. So they're not paid for from the DIS budget, but they're paid for from budgets secured externally. You might recall that we secured some seed funding from NHSX, 250,000, which has augmented our ESP funding, which we secured from the trust. Part of that funding, the important part of that funding, the seed funding, is for us to develop clear plans that can be assured by NHS Digital, by technical and programme management folk, that we can actually deliver against. So plans to be assured that we're doing the right thing and we can deliver against them to deliver more modern infrastructure and capabilities going forward. Also some stuff around the electronic patient record, which I'm not going to talk about right now. So the key thing for me, the reason we've brought in project management disciplines is so we're clear about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So people like Chris Brennan's of this world in the CTO area, the reason, well, Simon's funded as well externally. The reason why I brought you Simons and the like it is to, and also some external service providers to help us, people like your Co-Stratifys, your Phoenixes and all of that, is to help develop those clear cases which can be assured to the centre. I don't believe we had those skills beforehand, and that's why they've been brought in. So some of those chiefs are also doers in terms of developing some of those cases and proposals, and they're setting us up so we've got clear plans of who's doing what, when they're doing it, how much it's going to cost, and can we track that with rigour. That's not something I think in the infrastructure area we were doing before, and it has to happen going forward. We need to be able to demonstrate we're making best use of the resources and the money that we're spending. So that's some of the background around that. You will see also in the communication that there are quite a few troops, but I won't go into all that now. It's something to read there, and some specialist skills, technical skills that we need to bring in, of course. So hopefully that helps to explain some of that. And as I say, the note is there for reference should you want to look at it. As far as the restructure is concerned, just to reiterate, as I've said in all the Making This a Great Place to Work sessions, we are totally informal stage. We're not in a formal structural process. We're not in a formal consultation period, although there will become a need for us to jump into that at some point, October no doubt in particular. So again, really welcome all the feedback people are giving and some thoughts on how things can work. We want more of that, but you can only do that if you've obviously got an understanding of what it is. So again, just to reiterate what's been said in the Making This a Great Place to Work sessions, these sort of things should be getting discussed in your team meetings and all of that. So some great feedback actually in terms of the structured proposals, in terms of suggestions and whatnot. So some other things going on. Appreciate as well that there are some pressures across the service. Certainly from a staffing point of view, in the clinical coding area, for instance, just to say really, hats off. Faye has worked on a paper on explaining the pressures around clinical coding and the need to address some of the pressures in there. But the performance of the coding team compared to other trusts, hats off to that, is incredible. So well done to that. Sounds like it's a really good and effective service there, and clearly some work to done there. And there's going to be a special session with the coding team about some of the proposals around that. So keen to get that in soon. So Faye and Gary Hardcastle and myself will be running that to get into the detail of that. But just hats off in terms of how the team's performing. Some great work there, and well supported, I guess, by the system that we use as well, the systems that we use. Also, another pressured area is the information governance area. Again, some staffing challenges in there in terms of people not being there. So Becky and Andy are running solo with not just trying to run all the operational stuff, but also try to implement the recommendations from the information governance strategy. And that means trying to get people on board, information asset owners. So if you search on the internet, what's an information asset owner from the information governance perspective, that's the one thing, a key thing that everyone should know in the DIS function. But trying to identify information asset owners in care groups or in other departments, very difficult when the hospital's under so much pressure. But progress has been made. It's all progression. So progress has been made there, which is good, and thanks for the work that's going on information governance. The other thing which coming out, well, not so much, just some positives really. The trust, overwhelming feedback from the care group manager, which is now the assistant chief operating officers, from the from everyone outside of DIS in terms of the customers, really overwhelming, massive support and praise for the introduction of our PMO process. So thanks to everyone who's been involved in that and compliant and to that. The fact that we can now set some clear priorities in terms of what we're working on, the fact that we can make some clearer commitments to when something will get done or if something won't be done because we haven't got the resources, the fact that we've done those resource capacity plans, thanks for the work on that. The resource capacity plans have made a massive difference. We went to exec committee to highlight that, which we would not be doing for the time being. Overwhelming feedback is we would rather know if something can't be done or when it will be done, and we would rather be able to prioritise. And actually, really important that anytime we're doing a business case, that we capture in that impact assessment what IT resource needs to be used and the cost of that. Because we're at a stage now that if the trust want to do over and above what the priorities are, they will be looking to potentially fund that. And if they fund that, it enables us to bring in extra resource to do the work. So the whole PMO Pro, certainly from a prioritisation point of view, certainly from a resource and capacity plan point of view, the impact assessment work and the ability to properly manage and commit to what we're delivering from the trust perspective is going really well, and it shows a level of rigour. I know there is the odd people who go on about too much bureaucracy and all that type of thing, but it is making a difference for us. I do get that there might be some extra stuff to do, but this is just standard practice stuff, so it just needs to be done. That's how we're going to be running things. So that's that. And also we've got access, of course, to everything that's going on in the different in the file shares there. So everything's there if people need to know what's happening with what projects and so on and so forth. And again, any questions or anything, get them raised at your team meetings. Some big wins: the G2 upgrade, Stuart's team, 8, etc. Superb. I'm so pleased that that's been done. It's been a long time coming, but just hats off to how smooth that went. So the feedback on the G2 thing from the users has been virtually nil. So if we consider that to how some of the things, I know we had to rush in the past, but however that's been managed has been fantastic. I really hope, fingers crossed, that now we've done that rollout. I appreciate people working late on the Wednesday of the upgrade, but fingers crossed that's going to address some of our issues, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the results of that are. Hope it's going to make a big difference, but the way that's been managed, the way that's been communicated, has been really good. So thank you very much for everyone involved in that. Hats off as well. Appreciate, I think the development team are also doing a cracking job at the minute. Some big projects, some big go lives about to go live. So the Riz, of course. So Craig and everyone who's been working on the Riz project. I know there's a lot to that, but that's going to be another good win. Hopefully, when we get that over the line. Appreciate it might be a bit challenging actually. When we're getting close to the final hurdles of that with some of the testing and all that, but yeah, some certainly from our team's perspective, appreciate there've been some challenges with Soliton, but certainly from our team's perspectives, superb bit of work there, and yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been good and really good communication as well. Communication is the key thing on all these things. People know what's going on. Again, from the other feedback things from making this a great place to work. Really pleased with some of there seems to be a real buzz around the insight and intelligence function, or intelligence and insight function. The month off reporting went down, seems to have gone down really well, and it's been really productive. Some of the work around Power BI, the fact that we saved 40 hours of reporting work, the fact that the team are being more proactive in terms of pushing back on reporting requests, really trying to get to that change in culture. There's a support for that across the trust. There is a support for that. So I think really exciting time. I think in the intelligence and insight function, and hopefully that will continue. Some really great examples of some work which has come there, where some of the staff, instead of just churning out reports for what, actually really getting into some data analysis and sort of even predictions or providing good insights in order to help better decisions. Things like the John's COVID bed predictor thing. Some bit of our development there, superb, which is proved to be fairly right. So has informed some decisions. A few other things, the paediatric ED attendance thing with respiratory conditions. Some of those things, superb, really. And it's the sort of thing we want to be doing, as opposed to just churning out, God knows what, which might not be of value at all. So it's really important that those relationships with the care groups are now not just a case of us reacting to whatever's provided, but it's a two-way relationship where we're providing influence. We've got the intelligence and the insight to help them to do that. There's been discussions around the business analysts. So again, if the business analysts think there's different ways of doing things in terms of structure or whatever, really keen to hear that as part of that whole thing. So yeah, really buzzing about the intelligence and insight team, the future of the team, where it's going. Superb. I've had great feedback. Phil, Massimo, happy about the move and stuff like that. So yeah, really great. So hats off to everyone about that. It sounds like it's a great place to work at the minute. So in terms of other things, of course, key thing about bringing some of the external support in, it has been about bidding for money. So we have got our bids going into Unified Tech Fund. There's a myriad of bids going into Unified Tech Fund that we're doing right now. So the guidance has just come out. People might have heard of what good looks like, who pays for what, and the Unified Tech Fund prospectus. These all were released on the 31st of August by NHSX. These are the guides which we will follow in terms of what is good practice. So anything we bid for must align to that. So we'll be doing some various bids for funding, and a lot of the detailed work has already been done by the likes of your Simons, your Chris Brennans and teams, and obviously the teams themselves around some of that. And we're also still progressing with the EPR strategic outline case. That's in with the regional team, so we're waiting for feedback from them, and there should be a roundtable meeting about that hopefully very soon. So we'll get some feedback in terms of where we are with that, which is hopefully good, and it will help inform I guess what happens next. So yeah, a lot going on. Hopefully you found this informative. Again, if there's any questions, whatever, please get in touch. And just to re-emphasize it, it's good to talk team meetings, feedback, whatever. It's about doing things with people, not to people. That's not a bad one. And that's what it's all about. And that's whether or not we're working with the trust, but with our service as well. So thanks very much for everything you're doing. You're making a big difference to people's lives, not just from the clinician's point of view, but from the patient's point of view as well, and all people. So thanks very much. All these things are important. Thanks very much, and see you later.